Greetings, viewers. Welcome to another fan art drawing time-lapse video by yours truly, Aziz Draws. As promised last week, this week, I decided to draw Avatar: The Last Airbender fan art, specifically Aang, the Avatar. And this was pretty fun to draw, as I got a chance to mess around with my colors and various material application in regards to rendering and shading. But funnily enough, it was quicker than the drawings I've been doing recently. For example, this video you're watching right now is sped up at 4,000%, but the previous or the most recent videos I've been uploading, all the drawing time lapses have been around 8,000%. So I was kind of surprised too, because I think I started this yesterday, maybe around 3:30 p.m. or so. And by the time it was like 8, I was almost done. And I realized, wait a minute, I didn't spend a whole lot of time. But I didn't want to continue working on it because I was afraid I'd start messing stuff up. You know how when you work on something for too long, you just start screwing over your work? Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. But I think we're okay. There are some gripes I have about this drawing, as I do with a bunch of my other drawings. There's always gripes. One gripe I can tell you right now is I don't give earthbending as much justice as I should have. What I mean by that is I set up a hierarchy of the elements' emphasis. And what I mean by that is how noticeable is each element within this drawing. So, for example, fire, I wanted that to be the most noticeable element. Because one, it was a light source, and two, it was kind of an allusion to the story of Avatar: The Last Airbender. When you think about it, fire is the look at me element. The intro talks about the Fire Nation attacking. Aang, for a while in the show, ignores firebending because he's initially traumatized by the fact that he was easily able to injure his friend Katara when he first learned it. You know, stuff like that. That was his last element he learns. Things like that. There's so much attention brought to fire in that show. So I was like, okay, we'll give you attention here. And you can see I added a glowing effect just to boost up that emphasis with the style that I chose. Airbending, of course, would be the second most noticeable, just because it is the element that Aang starts off with. He is an airbender. That's why it's called Last Airbender. And so it was interesting because I tried to give it a sense of emphasis, but at the same time doing that led to issues of balancing the artwork to represent the other elements fairly. And what I mean is the issue was the wind would get in the way of the other elements, and it would be very busy trying to look at the artwork. So I would try to remedy that with gradients and opacities for the wind rather than just making it a harsh flat tone. So I don't know how effective that method was, but I think it ended up better than it was initially. For the water, I wanted that to be kind of in the background, as you'll see later on. But yeah, I think the earthbending didn't get as much justice as I should have given it, which I think might be subconscious commentary of how I felt about earthbending in the show. Because while I was watching it, earthbending was cool. It was super dope. But every time I saw it, I can't help but feel like it was kind of that background element. You know what I mean? Like, it's the element that is super effective and super helpful, but no one really wants to. It's not the talk of the season, you know. I don't know. Earthbending is dope. I have mad respect for earthbenders. Toph, dope character. That's a super dope character. Yeah, and as you see, I've started drawing the water. Funny thing about the water is when I was in high school, I had a project where we had to draw any subject we wanted, but it had to be on a scratchboard. And so it was designed for us to learn how to create artwork by scratching with like a blade or anything that was a sharp object onto the board. And I decided to go for a moonlight setting of Aang waterbending. And so while I was drawing this water, that was the first thing that came to mind. The fact that I'm hatching water details around Aang. It was just really funny, and it was kind of like an internal callback to what I did years prior. And I guess that leads to the question, have I really improved as an artist? No, if you see the scratchboard drawing, it looks very similar in texture to what this looks like on on this subject. So I thought that was kind of funny. You see it's also acting as the rim light, the water against Aang's skin, and that was just for me to create more of a dynamic system of lighting for the character, bring more interest to the drawing. Another source of light is his arrows, or his arrow tattoos glowing. There's like a slight little glow on his armpit. I mean, you don't worry about that. But yes, that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to draw next, but we'll see.